Hello, AOENs and guests. As Chairman of Association of Entrepreneurs, I, Shishu Chaturvedi, am so happy to welcome you all to 101st meet of AOE. Today, we start this meeting with a prayer. AOE made us meet some wonderful people. Some of them stayed with us for a shorter period, still made a lasting impression. Just heard a sad news today of passing away of one such wonderful person, Somika Mehta. Such an enthusiastic person, so full of life and so young. Very untimely. We would jointly observe silence for a minute to pray for eternal peace to her soul and for strength to her family in these trying times. Om Shanti. Now we start with the meet as per our agenda. First on the list is AOE's introduction. AOE was formed by like-minded entrepreneurs, principal purpose being to have an association with common aim of development of personal knowledge and businesses through pooling of resources available with each of us and large fellow member base to be able to have a large resource pool, create sufficient opportunities to interact with fellow members in order to develop trust and relationship, help fellow members through sharing of knowledge and experience in order to help them expand their horizons. AOE, registered as a non-profit society, has been meeting every month on third Saturday since August 2012 and have been privy to hearing some really great speakers at this wonderful forum, learning from their valuable experiences as also learning from the wonderful group of our fellow AOE members. AOE understands that entrepreneurship is a lonely journey and therefore provides a great platform for valuable learning from guest speakers, interaction and learning from some very good fellow entrepreneurs and good human beings, and a possibility of building relationship with some great people from varied fields which probably you would not have a chance to connect with. The rest of our agenda for today's AOE meet is one-to-one updates by Treasurer and Secretary, internal speaker presentation by Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, AOE mentoring group update by the wonderful team of Veer Sagar, Rajiv Mathur and Sanjeev Narayan. Guest speaker session on learning is by Nasreen Khan, Master Practitioner of NLP. There will be a regular report from General Secretary, Treasurer and closing remark from Chairman. Can I request Treasurer Vikas to please take on from here?
Thank you, Shishir. As entrepreneurs, we all realize how critical one-to-one interactions are for the purpose of building trust. And at AOE, we firmly believe that trust should be built, relationship be nurtured, and business will automatically follow. In the coming period, we shall focus even more to enable one-to-ones amongst all our fellow members, and other than introducing ourselves, we shall also be introduced by a fellow member at times. Today, AOEN Praveen Pasangi shall introduce fellow AOEN Mr. Baljit Singh Bedi. Over to you, Praveen.
Thank you to Mr. Baljit Singh, sir. And thank you, Vikas, for handing over this. Well, it's been a long awaited one-to-one with Baljit sir for a while. I mean, my office is almost like a walkable distance. I also work in Nehru Place. So it's been a very good one-to-one. So I would tell a little bit about him. A chartered accountant by profession with a career spanning 41 years, he has his office in Nehru Place with around 160 clients in textile industry, leather industry, and computer industry, and specialize in audit and consulting. So if you can see the numbers there, that's what Mr. Baljit Singh has been in. 41 years, 40 years in business. His passions do include travel and reading. Mr. Baljit Singh has a son and one daughter. His son is a group director of sales and revenue in Park Hotels in Singapore, married to a doctor. Mr. Bedi has recently been blessed with a granddaughter. His daughter and son-in-law are doctors working with NHS London. His wife is a housewife by choice after many years of as a headmistress of schools. So present to you, I mean, coming back, let me introduce Mr. Bedi. Thank you very much.
Moving on to the introduction of our internal speaker of today, AUN Sanjeev Narayanji. He is a co-founder and board member of SGS Technics Manufacturing Private Limited. Mr. Sanjeev Narayan is a leading industrialist with 45 years of experience in the electronics industry. Mr. Narayan is a first-generation entrepreneur, an electronics engineer from IIT Delhi and an MBA from FMS. He founded SGS Techniques, an electronic manufacturing services company in 1990, along with 3 other professionals. Today, SGS Techniques has multiple plants in North and South of India, including a design center in both India and Germany. SGS Techniques is one of the largest exporters in India of electronic sub-assemblies and box products to EU countries and have received several awards and recognition for the same. Mr. Narayan was the president of ELCINA, ELCINA, for 2 terms in 1988 to 89 and in 2002 to 2003. He was also the chairman of ESC in 2007 to 2009. He has been closely involved in policy making with various government agencies for development of the electronics industry in India. Mr. Narayan is closely associated with policy formulation on electronics with government and industry bodies. He recently was once again awarded the Electronics Man of the Year for year 2019-20. Sir, heartiest congratulations to you, and over to you for your presentation.
I think he's already given you some information about my background. I just want to add that I come from a service class family. And in a service class family, by and large, you have strong value systems. And the focus is on education. My father was in government service. And based on the education side, I was fortunate enough to qualify for IIT. And I think that was a big changing point in my life. As far as schooling is concerned, I went to Bishop Cotton's in Bangalore, and before that, Columbus here in Delhi. Once I had completed my electrical engineering from IIT Delhi, we have campus placements. And you have some of the largest companies who come to pick up candidates from there. And I had qualified for Philips and L&T. There were other small mid-sized companies, and one of the companies was CDIL, which is into semiconductor manufacture here in Delhi. I opted for a mid-sized company because I felt the opportunity to learn and grow would be tremendous. And I think this was one of the best decisions of my life. I enjoyed my stint at CDIL, and I must say my boss, the owner of the company, was a great leader and a mentor and gave me a lot of freedom to learn. One of the things that I learned there was, whatever you're doing, do it yourself once so that you know what is involved in this. And that was, I think, a great learning. So whether it was setting up an exhibition, whether it was printing of a catalog, whether it was starting the export department, I mean, everything, he said, try and do one thing. I even used to go to the bank for negotiations of the documents. That is the kind of detailing that was done. Another learning that I had from the early years was that, every department in a company is important. This I experienced because the first territory that I was given to handle was the West Zone, and you had some of the largest companies there, which is companies like Philips, then Murphy radios, if some of you remember. We used to have Bush radios, and we are making electronic components, semiconductors, and we were selling to these companies. And this whole territory was handed over to me from my boss, who as the owner was looking after this. one of the biggest lessons that I learned here was that in an organization, every department is important and everyone is important. What my boss used to do, he had an excellent equation with the owners of the company. He would go get the business, but when I got into the act, I realized that how unhappy the rest of the people were. They always looked at our company as it's the boss's company, unki party hai. And I had quite a time going through with each department, whether it was purchasing, quality, and the planning people, developing relationship. It was tough, but it was also easy in a way because they had never been really approached. So they felt connected. And once I had built up that relationship, it really helped the company to grow. So the important lesson was that everyone in an organization is important and you should not ignore anyone, and starting from the chowkidar who welcomes you or the receptionist who welcomes you into a company. Another example that I would like to share, or learning that I would like to share with you, is when I was given the task of setting up the export department for this company. And you can imagine way back in 75 when I started this activity, and the first market that was assigned was trying to create a demand for our products in USA. And can you believe the first trip that I took to USA, invariably the reaction of the people was, we thought that India was only known for snake charmers, and you are here to try and sell us semiconductors? You must be joking. And I had one or two trips which were very disappointing. But an entrepreneur never gives up. So I kept at it and I said, there has to be some way to break this market. All the large distributors and the large semiconductor companies, there was no way. And initially it was a matter of chance. I was sitting at a friend's office in New York and I flipped through the yellow pages. And I found, when I looked at the section of semiconductors, I found 3 or 4 names there of companies which I was not familiar with. And I decided to give them a call. And they were not very far away from where I was. And can you believe it? These are what we call the second tier semiconductor distributors. And each one of them had their own branding. And when I visited one of them, I realized that though they had been distributing components for other manufacturers, at the back of their mind, they always had that, can I be a manufacturer? And that's what opened a ray of hope. And what I offered them was that, I'm going to give you semiconductors in your brand. So each one of the products, a transistor is so small, and we print on that the manufacturer's name. And that gave me a big opening. And once I got my first order from this company here, I found similar companies in Florida, in California, and Canada, Montreal. And I decided to brand products in their own name and give it to them. And we had a great run for this. So I believe that, what is important is to find your niche. You segment the market, see what best you can position yourself, and then identify that niche. And I can only say there is room for all. And we were very successful, and we are the largest exporters of semiconductors at that point of time. So this was a great learning for me in the industry association. And I would always recommend to people that please be active. Don't look at it as a waste of time. One of the reasons I believe for my success as a executive was that I was always looking at myself as an entrepreneur. I never looked at it as a job. And at every stage, I was trying to see what is the opportunity that I can grab and how do I grow this business. At the end of a 17-year stint, I decided to take the entrepreneurial jump. And this was in 1990. And one of the reasons for doing so was because I had different aspirations for growth, and my boss, the owner of the company, had different views on this. So that is the reason we decided to move on. I, with a group of 3 other partners, moved out and we set up a company by the name of SGS Techniques in the space of EMS, which is Electronic Manufacturing Services. This was a very well-established opportunity as far as global markets is concerned, but it hadn't come to India. We smelt this opportunity and we decided to get in here. We thought the time was right, but I think we were a little too early. You know, when you all have experience as entrepreneurs, how difficult it is, all I can say is that you have to have clear strategies of what you want to do. How we differentiated our company from the others who were slowly coming into this business, or if we were trying to talk to the larger corporations of telling them to outsource some of their work to us, we felt that the most important element would be that we have to have the quality certifications. And in our area, we were among the first company in India to get the ISO certifications way back in 93, 94. We also then went on to get other certifications, whether it was for medical electronics, whether it was for telecom, or for the other sectors. This was a big differentiation between us and a lot of the other companies. We constantly upgraded our processes, equipment in line with the global standards. So we have to be able to offer and to the customer something that he feels that, yes, we are in safe hands. Build goodwill and trust of all the stakeholders, which is very, very important. Starting with employees, customers, vendors, bankers, and of course the shareholders. The fundamental is that you have to honor your commitment and commit only what you can honor. It's one of the same thing. If you follow this, I think it takes you a long, long way. Just briefly, I will tell you a few incidents in the life of our company. Initially, when we started with the public sector corporations. ITI, if some of you may know, that was one of our major customers, and telecom, obviously the area. And we were working with ITI, and then we had another customer called PCL, which is Punjab Communications Limited, CDOT, if the CDOT exchanges were being made. And we were entirely into the telecom area. What is important for any entrepreneur is to keep his ears to the ground, to know what is happening. With the liberalization phase, what we felt is that now there's going to be a change in the telecom space. And we were lucky enough to be able to move out from the telecom space by adding customers in other verticals. And also we realized that, long term, government business is not going to be our cup of tea. So we must add the private sector. So we moved out from just one or two companies in this telecom space and the government by adding other companies in other spaces. And the companies that we added were in the space of water purification and then into the IT products, photocopying and things like this. And that helped us a lot. And that also taught us a lot because these companies had programs for developing the vendors and they had also the quality program. This took us to the next level. The company that I'm referring to is Modi Xerox. They were a big help in our growth path. We also, had one bad experience. When we started in EMS, we tried to start our export process as part of the diversification. And I, having had some experience in the US sales and in semiconductors, having been lucky, I tried to see that if we can start exports of sub-assemblies to the USA. And that was a very bad experience. And one of the early times, at that point of time, we lost almost 30 lakhs of rupees. The reason was that we went through a middleman to the thing. So we really were not getting a correct picture. In our business, inventory is the biggest risk because you are making dedicated products. And with this, you buy those components, you hold it in your inventory, and then you could, if the guy doesn't pick up the material, you are sunk. And this is exactly what happened to us. This guy kept us in the dark, and we were just left carrying the products with us. But it was a good lesson learned. And fortunately, we could overcome that financial shock at that point of time. But we were not going to give up. So we decided, no, we will do after a break of about a year. We decided that we will do it. And we thought about which is a more stable market. And we decided on Europe. Now, we never were afraid of challenges. And we said, okay, in Europe, what are we going to choose? And we said that, okay, let's take the toughest country, which is known for quality. And we decided to work with Germany. And we decided that we are not going to go through any middlemen and we are going to go direct. This process is slow, takes much more time, but I can tell you is much more rewarding. We got a breakthrough after about a year in Germany with one of the largest companies there called Atlas Copco. And we were then doing the electronic sub-assemblies for the hand tools here in India and shipping to them every week. And we did that, and we are still their customers even today, though they themselves, this particular division of Atlas Copco, has been bought over by a Chinese company in Germany. So just wanted to share with you, these are some of the experiences that we've had, and we think these are good, valuable experiences. Now we've also added design services as a part of trying to move up the value chain. It takes a lifetime to build a business. You need patience and resilience. Just to share with you, the first 100 crores revenue, we took 21 years. The next 100 crores, it was 5 years. The next 100 crores was 2 years. And the one after that was 1 year. So in 2019, we crossed 400 crores. If you have a strong foundation, then growth is definitely possible. Today, 33% of our revenue comes from exports. We have 5 plants in Gurgaon, Manesar, Baddi, and Bangalore. We have a design center in Gurgaon and Stuttgart in Germany. We employ about 1,700 people over all these facilities. But we can't rest at where we are. So the next question is, what next for growth? Now, right now, for manufacturing, I think there is no better time. The government has really switched their focus from just software and exports and software services. They've realized that manufacturing is going to be very important and critical. So we see a lot of changes in technology. We see a lot of changes in the policies. And we see a lot of multinational companies coming into the country. So the next step, what we have decided is that we have announced that we are going to be merging with another Indian company, which is also of equal size, so that we can create an entity which is 1,000 crore plus. This is work in progress, and we hope it will be the decision in the right direction. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev. Can I request for a quick update on AOE mentoring?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to hand over Rajiv. We had, I think, now about 3 sessions with Vikas, and we reached a stage where we've reached a stage where both Vikas and us are on the same page as to what is required to be done. Right? He's been given some homework, and we have also done some analysis, and hopefully things will move. Rajiv would like you can give more details.
Well, basically, we've had, like you said, 2 very, very engaging sessions. That was the important thing, with tremendous participation and support from everybody, from the mentors and as well from the mentee. It takes a lot of effort to put the data together, which Vikas has been working on, presented very good data. So the first meeting was really a discovery phase, where Vikas just shared his overall thoughts on the business, where he thought it was going, what direction it is in now, what course correction might be required, some of the challenges that he's facing, etc., all of that. Yeah. And the next meeting was the first meeting of what we call as the phase 1, where we deep dive into a lot of data to do some analysis together with the mentee. So it's together with Vikas. And again, very engaging session, some excellent inputs again from Sanjeev, from Veer, and we inducted even Baljit, because he's the finance guy, and therefore financials always tell a story. So he dug deep into that and gave a perspective on what was going on in the business. And I think in about 6 weeks, we're going to have a follow-on meeting. Initially, we thought that we will do each phase for about 6 weeks, but I think the energy which is infused in the whole group will probably get us to move much faster. So we might finish it actually in about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe. Yeah. So looking forward to it. And finally, bottom line is, if Vikas feels that it is adding value, then I think we all would have succeeded. Yeah. So that's the update here.
Thank you. Our guest speaker, Nasreen Khan, is already there with us. Can I request our Vice Chairman, Mr. Naresh Vish, to kindly introduce her?
Yeah, thank you, Shishir. And thank you, Nasreen, for your patience with us. We had this wonderful session before that. Nasreen Khan, Principal, Catalyst Advisory Coaching and Training. Nasreen is an optimistic and emphatic human being. She brings simplicity, authenticity, and commitment to whatever she chooses to do. As a coach and facilitator, she loves supporting individuals and organizations to be their best. Thank you for AOE today. A postgraduate in management, master practitioners of NLP, Gestalt therapist, I don't know what Gestalt is, probably you can tell us later, and an executive and life coach with 3 decades of experience. Nasreen has learned the importance of balancing the philosophical with the practical. Nasreen works with both individuals and organizations in her role as coach, consultant, and training facilitator. She is on the regular panel of trainers for MHRDN, IMA, and University of Chicago, amongst others, and has worked with some of the best known names in the industry. Please add AOE also to your list. The human mind fascinates Nasreen, and she is constantly exploring its vast potential. She is also a co-author of a book on facilitation. We would love to know more about it and maybe read it. Nasreen loves the mountains, travels extensively, and is an ardent nature lover. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this introduction. And thank you so much, first of all, Neeraj, that's Neeraj Bhargav, Johnny Bhai as I call him, for bringing me here. And I was a little scared when I heard, okay, the last speaker saying, okay, well, I came in as a speaker and then I became a member. So I'm not sure whether Johnny Bhai has that in mind. And thank you so much, Shishir, for all the time you invested in explaining what this is
Only
about.
say you won't regret it if you do come.
I'm sure I won't. But thank you so much for having me here. I just love talking to entrepreneurs for the simple reason that I've been one now for 26 years. And I remember when I started off, this was in 95. My biggest problem of, people ask me, what do you do? And I wanted to say I'm an entrepreneur, but the point was, how do you pronounce this word entrepreneur? Is it entrepreneur? Is it entrepreneur? Is it entrepreneur? So it used to be really interesting. And I used to laugh at myself and say, okay, whatever it is, hum Hindustani hai, hum entrepreneur bolenge, chalega. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's an interesting journey. I always think about all the stuff that is common to entrepreneurs. So those of you who started their own business, there will be some who've joined a family business and some who started their own business. You've been, at least I've been the office boy and the CEO at the same time. I've jumped at an order when it came and I thought, oh my God, how am I ever going to execute it in time? So what is beautiful is the way that, we just never say die. I think that's a common feature in entrepreneurs that I have seen. So my first invitation to everyone is please grab a paper and pen. If you don't have it, please get one, because I'm going to be in conversation with you. I'm not going to give a talk.
Okay,
I
sure.
hope that's okay. Will that work?
Yes, why not?
Okay. So the talk, the so-called talk or conversation today, we've titled it Reflecting Together. Some questions, some answers. So I'm curious to know, when you hear this title, what is it? What do you think this is about? What are we going to do now?
I have a feeling you are going to force us to think.
I love the way he says force us to think. For all you know, that might be true. But just going to ask you, when I started asking this question, what did the question do to you? What happens when somebody asks a question? What happens?
You force us to think, no? So.
Yeah, so the brain automatically moves to whatever, finding an answer. That's the property of the brain, right? So what I'm going to be talking about, like you mentioned, Shishir, that time, one of my joys is figuring out about the brain, and I know nothing about it, please. So let me just say that up front. Whatever I figure about the brain, I discover I don't know anything, because there's so much that we are discovering about the brain. But one of the properties which is fascinating is what a question does to a brain. And I'm going to ask you this question. Okay, what do you think? What is the purpose of any question? So my talk today, by the way, is going to be about something that I was very good at when I was 3-4 years old. I forgot along the way when I became a teenager, and when I joined work, then though I completely forgot about it. So when I'm 3-4 years old, yes, absolutely. You got it. Yes, Naresh.
So we have RAM and we have hard disk. Your
Yes.
question relates to go to the hard disk and try to figure out what is all hidden there. And whatever interests you, bring it up. And what interests not only you, but everybody who is at the AOE today. And please discuss that. I think finding that is the most challenging thing right now.
Okay. Okay.
I get a different view. Innocence.
Innocence. So lovely. Okay. So with innocence, what did I do when I was 3-4 years old? What did I do freely?
You just look for happiness in small things.
Lovely. And I just didn't bother. I would ask a question for anything because it didn't matter. There was no hesitation. Who's going to judge me? What's going to happen? So we used to ask questions. In fact, research says that children up to the age of 4 ask between 100 to 300 questions per day. And that's why, mothers go berserk and say, my God, chup raho, bas ho gaya. Aur nahi pucho. So imagine from the rate of asking 100 to 300 questions a day, by the time I reach school and college, first of all, my teachers told me, this is out of the context, out of course, don't ask me this. So I stopped asking that. Then I go further, I go at work. The question that are asked usually of me are, why didn't this happen? So I think, okay, keep quiet. By the time I reach adulthood, my propensity for asking questions has just dropped. And I relearned to ask questions some 10 to 12 years ago. And that's what I wish to share today, because questions are just so powerful. And that's what I'm bringing to you. And I hope, of course, I can see there's so much of experience in this room, which is just fabulous to learn from. So I think it can be very, very interactive and engaging from that aspect. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's start with this. Why do we ask a question? What's the purpose of questions?
First forces the other guy to think.
Forces the other person to think. Very nice. Okay, lovely.
Questions can also help us understand. I mean, almost like the difference between hearing and listening.
Okay, they help us understand something. Okay, what else?
We need a reply to the inquisitiveness we have in us.
Fabulous, Baljeet. So we have this curiosity, which we get a reply to. Very nice. Yes, the inquisitive, same thing.
If we have doubt in some concept, maybe the clarity comes in if we ask question.
Absolutely. So we get clarity from wherever we might have a doubt. Okay, who else? What else? Go ahead, shoot. Just anything is fine.
To reach the stage of how, what, and when.
Okay, so you reach the stage of how, what, and when. Perfect. Okay. So please note what happened when I asked you this question. What happened to your thoughts?
We started thinking. What kind of reply we should give?
Also, what questions do is that they focus your brain to a particular area. So imagine it is a most powerful tool for bringing focus in the areas. If you want somebody to focus somewhere, it's a really, really powerful tool. Why am I sharing this? Because imagine if I ask myself the question, why is this employee so useless? Where is my focus? Why is this client so hard to please? Where is my focus? If I switch this and I say, okay, how can I please this client? Now, where is the focus? Noticing the difference?
Positive way or negative way of thinking?
Positive. Actually, there are also reasons why it's okay to think negatively sometimes, but I won't go there just now for the time being. But right now, what I'm trying to bring your attention to is the fact a question will bring focus in the direction you want. Now, the good news is that this is our choice. The bad news is that we have automated negative thoughts, and they also come in the form of questions. So before we know it, we may be asking ourselves and our people in turn, or the people we interact with, negative stuff. So first thing that I'm bringing out is that, so one thing for you to possibly, if it's all right for you to make note of, because we're going to come back to it in some time, is that by asking a question, you direct the thought in that direction. So what kind of question to ask, how to ask, etc., we'll come to that in a little bit. But before I move on to that, I wanted to share some pieces of research. He found something very interesting. Earlier I used to think that there is something called multitasking. You can multitask, is how I felt at least. But he figured, and he did some research and figured that we cannot multitask. What the brain does is very quickly does serial processing, but there is nothing but no multitasking. And now there's more than enough brain, MRIs and scans and all that to say there's nothing like multitasking. So in any case, in any of you are doing that, please forget. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. It's a myth. But forget about that. So the point is that when I ask a question, then the brain can't multitask. It has to stay with that question till another thing comes up. Okay, so that's one piece of it. The second piece is something called, another piece of research, which I'm going to talk about, is that they found out that just asking people a question about their future decisions actually influence their decisions significantly. And I'll give you a few examples. I don't remember the year. Let me see what year it was. Yeah. In 1993, they did a study with 40,000 random people. And I think for entrepreneurs, this is a very important piece of research because they asked them, will you purchase a car in the next 6 months? That's all they asked them. And will you believe what happened? There was a 35% increase in the number of people who bought a car when they were doing a sampling against a normal study. 35%. By just asking, will you buy a car or not? So you could have answered that you will not buy, it doesn't matter. But just influencing the brain to start thinking like that. They did a similar research with voters where they asked voters, will you vote this year? Will you be casting your vote this year? 25% increase in the casting of votes. Now this is this propensity of the brain is, they call it a mere measurement effect. Just by merely measuring something, the shift starts happening. So imagine that means when you're thinking about something, if somebody's imagining something, you asked a question, what's happening is the brain has moved, the thought has come there, oh, should I be buying a car? Oh, should I be donating blood? That's all that has happened, right? And just doing that much has significantly impacted the final outcome of what happened. How can you use this with your people? Where, in what occasions could you possibly use this with your people? So that's the first question, and we'll keep silent for a while till you contemplate that, which is what are some things, what are some questions you could ask them to move them in the direction that you want them to move? This is for your team, your people.
Hi, Vikas here.
Yes, Vikas.
So I would ask this question that what one thing would you like to change the way we develop our products?
Nice. Okay. What one thing would you like to change in the way we develop our products? Okay. Okay. That's an open question, nudging them to, which has a presupposition that we can actually develop the products. So you're going to change something and that's how it's going to develop the product. So I'm just going to dissect some questions so that we know how it's coming across. Lovely. Thank you, Vikas. Yes.
I use this also as a question, also to empower the guy.
Yes, sure.
He feels strong. So when I have to pick a customer, for example, I get a customer query, which I want to do. So instead of saying, let's do this, I tell them, you think we should accept this customer? Do you think we can do it? And invariably, they all say, yes, sir. Half the time, even without thinking.
Yes, I can imagine. But it's worth getting that. So at least you nudge the brain in that direction. Lovely.
I would go about it a little differently. I would ask him that what is your personal goal that you set for yourself in the next 5 years? And once he says, sir, this is what I want to be in the next 5 years, I said, okay, then why don't you work in this direction and see if you can achieve this? And hopefully we will reward you to get there in the next, that kind of a thing.
Lovely. Lovely. So Naveen, beautiful. And please catch hold of me. At the end, I want to talk about the second question that you asked him. Why don't you do this?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later, but just hold that question to resurface before we finish. Okay, so there's one more question I want to, for this only. This we are doing for the others. The same mere measurement effect applies to us. The moment we ask ourselves a question, so for example, they found out, if I say, I want to be a good listener. I'm telling myself, I want to be a better listener, let's say for a second. If I change the question and I say, how can I be a better listener? It will do something else to me. And if I say, how can I become a listener like Neeraj in the next 4 months? It will automatically move me to become like that. So nudge back to you. Think of any area in your life where you'd like to move forward. Any area, doesn't matter. But this time it's personal. Because the more we experiment on ourselves, the more we realize it works. So pick out any area for yourself and say, okay, how can you use this same principle, which is the mere measurement effect, for something in your life? Yes.
Now I am thinking, how can I be like Naresh ji and start playing tennis?
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Just keep that thought. So how can I be like Naresh ji and start playing tennis by what month and year do you want to do that?
Maybe next 3 months.
Okay, lovely. And if instead of next 3 months, you put a month and a date, it becomes even clearer for the brain. Because I'm moving back to the brain again. So you can literally say instead of next 3 months, because after this month is over, it'll still be next 3 months. But if you say that it's, we're in February, March, April, May, by May I'll be playing tennis like him, so be it. So what can I do, or how can I start playing tennis like him? Fabulous, Neeraj. Okay, so this was one piece of research I wanted to share. So what have I shared so far? I've forgotten already. I think I shared with you. Okay, I talked about the multitasking and that there is nothing. That's a myth. I talked to you about the mere measurement effect. These are the two things I talked about. The third piece that I thought I will bring here. How many of you as entrepreneurs have this whole thing of, engagement? My people should be engaged. They should have ownership. And, it's very usual for our employees. We want them to have ownership. We want them to feel engaged. Sometimes the question is, why can't the person just take full responsibility? Agar main kar sakta hu, to wo kyun nahi kar sakta?
But that's a day-to-day problem.
Questions?
That's a day-to-day problem,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
everybody's problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's problem.
Yeah. And not only with entrepreneurs, the leaders that I work with who are not necessarily entrepreneurs, but are paid employees, is the same situation with them. Where, people are paying humongous amounts of money, but still that ownership is missing. So one of the pieces of research that I want to share it actually comes from the Harvard University was doing a series of, research on a series of interviews. And they found one very interesting thing. So of course, I'm sure you know about all this, but that we have this bias. Despite what we try, we end up hiring people we like. That's a bias. We're okay. That's normal. So they were doing things to find out what happens in interviews, but they found out something very interesting. So, I don't know whether you've heard or not, but when we are training people for interviewing, so we'll tell them, you must ask some relevant questions and all that. So at the end of it, you must ask questions. So people will ask questions like, okay, what will my role be like? Things like that. How is your company going to grow and all that? They found a very interesting piece of information, which was that if you asked for somebody's opinion about any matter, okay? What do you think about this? What's your view on this? The same parts of the brain, the neural activity which you see in the MRI in the brain is the same as it is when you give somebody a reward. Same parts of the brain are getting lit up in the MRI.
Wow.
Now, what that means is that if people feel included, and what happens here? People are feeling included. You've asked me a question. You asked me about my opinion. You've not asked me a fact. This is my independent opinion. Okay, here is this client. These things don't seem to be okay. These two seem to be okay. What do you think? Should we go for this client? What do you think? I'm not telling you we are going for it. I'm asking you. How should we improve this process? I'm not telling you. I'm asking you. Now they found that if you take people's opinion, then they start feeling very connected and they start taking ownership. Thank you so much. That's all I had to share, and I just hope it was useful. I think the question for AOE is, what will you do beyond what you're already doing?
Sure.
As a group, that you're there.
It's important.
Nasreen, I just want to remind you, there was something you told Naveen, that there's a question he had parked it.
Thank you, Neeraj. So, Naveen, when you said why, the question was starting with a why.
Yeah.
I can't remember the question now, but I don't remember it starting with a why. So
Why don't
let's
you do
say
this so that you can, first the question was, what do you imagine yourself to be, say,
And
5
what-
years from today? And then why don't you say, you suggest a direction that you want him to take so that he can not only, achieve what he wants, but the company also achieves what, you can also get him to achieve what the company is required to achieve.
I think Naveen was also saying, no, what is he going to do about it?
no, I think we're talking about the why, and that's the one which I was picking
Yeah.
up. Because the moment you say, why don't you? What's happening is I'm thinking of all the reasons why I can't. Why is a very risky question unless you're going into a root cause analysis. So let's say, why didn't this job happen?
Right.
So usually why questions have been asked of us when it has been something negative or somebody, so you'll notice people go like this. They go back defensive. Oh no, ab to puchne wale hai. So just to be careful on how you're wording it.
Right.
So the same
okay.
thing, if you say,
So go with
how
the
will you do it?
rather
How
than a
will you do
question.
that? Yes, how will you do it? And sometimes, by the way, we are very, very smart because we love the sound of our own voice. So we put our suggestion into the question. Why don't you do this? Why don't you go and do this MBA and come back? Actually, I'm saying, I'm asking a question, but actually I put my suggestion in there. It's not a question at all.
Right.
So open-ended questions are what we want, where the person shares what they want to do. Thanks, Girish, for bringing that up. I had forgotten completely. Yes, Vikas.
So Nasreen, answer to your question, what as a group AOE is going to do, we have been, other than what we have been doing, is that right after this email, we are going to connect with you to get you as a member on the board.
Thank you. Besides that, so my next question to that is, beyond that, what else will you do that will serve all the members?
We'll send you the account details also.
Sure. Right. Thank you so much, Ashir.
We'll
Thanks
sure.
once again, Neeraj.
Thank you.
We'll sure when we have somebody like you, with your network, you would have more beautiful people, and they would become a future part of the vision, the future part of AOE as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
So, Neeraj, what will it take you to get Nasreen as a member?
I don't like this session at all. This is getting people working too hard.
One-to-one session. One-to-one session.
Formally,
Really, I enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just requesting formally Naresh Vesh, our Vice Chairman, to our General Secretary Baljit Bedi to give you a vote of thanks, please.
A very enjoyable session, full of energy, education, mind-changing session, I should say. And our members are so good. Mr. V. Sagar asked you the right question. What it will take Mr. Neeraj to bring you in as a member. So you know that we are very fast and we are very active.
So he has to come on a trek with us. He's not refused to come on a trek. So I'll give him the right answer there.
So that is the question. It was done in a very one-to-one method. It was done by provoking us. And even if some of us have not given you the questions have been written on the notebook. And it's not about anybody who has not given the questions or the answers. It is not that you have had everybody thinking now, what next? How should I use this technique in our life? Thank you very much for being here. And thank you for giving such a innovative and beautiful discourse to us. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Continuing on the meeting, can I request for a General Secretary report, please, quickly, Baljit?
Yeah. Thank you, members, guests, and guest speakers who have helped AOENs in gaining entrepreneurial learning. Good things happen in your life because of good thoughts in your mind. And usually these good thoughts are there in your mind because of good people in your life. As we all know, the principal objective of AOE is learning, knowledge, and wisdom sharing, creating opportunities for relationship building between members and helping each other grow. This was the 101st AOE meet in the present form and 89 meet after AOE got registered. Chairman Shishir Chaturvedi, thank you for your enthusiasm and motivation given to the managing committee members and to all other members. Your one-to-ones have been a great success and makes it easier for other members to know a member. I would also now say why we cannot bring one member each. This is what I have learned through the meeting. Why we can't bring one more member of AOE, each one of us.
Not why. You must bring one member.
Everybody must bring one member.
No whys.
That should be how.
It used to be how.
How?
It used to be that we need one to bring. So now it is why we can't bring. So that now we work towards that.
Bajit, if we just phrase this question the way she has said, instead of saying why we can't, we ask Sanjeev Narayan, what will take you, sir, to bring one more member to AOE? What will take you? I think Veer has already given him some suggestion.
Mr. Vinod, he has to bring.
Tejinder is noting everything.
Fully registered.
Tejinder will not let you forget, sir.
I'm keeping it short. I'm only talking about the new initiatives. Mr. Naresh, which is sending a cake on the birthday to the birthday of Boys of the Month. That is a creditable initiative which AOE has taken. And also, we have that AOE Wisdom. Naresh, which is also taking about the care of AOE Wisdom. I hope every one of you enjoys reading the wisdom quotes in the morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bajit. A quick treasurer report, please, Mr. Treasurer.
Yes. Good afternoon once again. I request all members who have received information on their membership dues to please clear them at the earliest. AOE membership payments can now be made through debit, credit cards, wallets, and online banking. The online payment link has already been shared with the members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank everybody, both the lovely speakers. Thank you so much, Sanjeev, for, I mean, some of this we had heard, some of this we had not, but even reiterating good things is a lot of learning, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And Nasreen also forced us to think, which was very nice. Thank you all.
Who brought Nasreen? Very good speaker.
Neeraj got us.
Neeraj Bhargav or Neeraj?
Neeraj Bhargav.
Oh, wow.
Neeraj Bhargav, right. And mentoring groups work. I mean, I have got feedback even from Menti, who is sitting here, is something very exciting happening on AOE, about which I'm very happy. Thank you so much, Tejinder, for all your support in everything. And we had some good interaction with members. This month, managing team had interaction with Atul Saxena, Bhrighav Jain, and Veer Sagar. And great suggestions, and we are working on it. Rest, I think we have almost covered. Next month, our meeting is 20th March 2020. Internal presenter is AOE and Rajeshwar Shastri. We don't know much about, I mean, most of us, I know about him. Most others do not know so much about him. Maybe we'll learn more about him. And we'll have a good speaker, which we will announce shortly. That's about it for today.